Hello everyone. It's October the 14th, 2016, and this is delrayvaweather.com. We're going to do a preliminary forecast for this upcoming winter 2016-17, and I've been working on a indicator to attempt to give a little more quantification to how cold the winter or how warm the summer would be. And this is really the first time I've presented the results of this indicator. It is an experimental indicator. It's really untested, but it seems to correlate with a lot of past data from Washington Reagan National Airport here in Washington, D.C. Okay, we got the final data in for today, and we need to have the first 14 days of October's data in order to do the analysis. Okay, based on this experiment indicator, it's actually derived from about over 16,000 daily weather readings at Washington Reagan, and that dates back to January the 1st, 1972. It looks at a specific period that are seasonal transitions at Washington Reagan National Airport, and these, if you were to apply this indicator to other areas of the country, those transitional periods may actually shift. But for the DC area, it's the first 14 days of October, and actually for the spring one, it's the first 14 days of April. The phrase that I'm going to be using is colder than normal, and I'm defining that as more days with lows at or below freezing compared to the average number or the median number for the given month or period. Okay, for November-December period, that period, the median days with lows at or below 32 degrees Fahrenheit is 16. It means the number of days during the sum of November and December together is a median is 16 days. The indicator suggests that 62% probability of more than 16 days, in other words, more than the average, and a 50% probability of more than 18 days for this coming November and December. So that I draw from that November and December should be colder than normal. Okay, as far as January, February, that 2-month period, the median days with lows at or below 32 degrees Fahrenheit is 38 days. And actually, when I did the analysis, I thought that was kind of unusual. I would have expected January and February together have many more days. There's about 60 days in that period, and you would expect perhaps more than half would have lows below 32, but from the data back to 1972, that's what it comes out to. Okay, the indicator suggests that a 76% probability of more than the average, more than 38 days for that 2-month period next year, and 50% probability of more than 44 days. So from that analysis, January and February, this coming January and February, should be colder than normal. Okay, finally, the March median days with lows at or below freezing is 8 days. This for that single month in this analysis. The indicator suggests that 58% probability of less than 8 days and a 50% probability of less than 7 days. So from that analysis, this coming March should actually be warmer than normal. Okay, this again is a preliminary forecast for the winter, and really it's only dealing with the projection as far as cold weather. It really doesn't say anything about how snowy the winter will be. But I want to show you this graph, and this is the graph I basically used last year to predict the winter, only I modified it a little bit. Okay, this shows the probability of monthly totals greater than or equal to 4 inches at Washington Reagan National Airport. And that means cumulative. You know, you might have a bunch of little snowfalls, and when you add them up, they're over 4 inches for the given month. Okay, I also broke this out into 3 categories: neutral winters, La Nina winters, and El Nino winters. And as you know, last winter was an El Nino winter. And this year, it's still a little bit up in the air, but it seems to be that at least the first part of the winter should be a neutral period. And perhaps the last part of the year, the winter I should say, is perhaps going to be a weak La Nina. So we have to bear that in mind because we really don't know yet exactly which direction this is going to go, whether it's going to stay neutral or go into the La Nina period. But assuming that the first part of the winter, November and December, is a neutral winter, we're talking about these blue bars here. And what we're showing here is that there's virtually no chance of a total of more than 4 inches of snow in November because we're in this potentially neutral period. In December, we have a 25% chance if we remain in the neutral period. If we actually go into La Nina, then it drops to 0. We have no chance of any snow in December. So assuming that we stay in neutral, then we have about 25% chance of getting 4 inches or more in December. Last year in the we were in an El Nino winter, and it was actually like a 30% chance. I really don't think we got more than a trace of snow last winter. Maybe it was somewhere between 1/10 of an inch and an inch. I forget what the actual number is. But in any event, we're talking about potentially December, if it stays neutral, going to be a similar probability as last December. Okay, where things get interesting is January and February. And if you notice, in El Nino, we had a very high probability of getting a greater than 4 inches in February. And if you remember, the big snowstorm that we got was actually at the very end of January. So you have to sort of group these together a little bit when you're looking at this. It's not going to be, immediately after 1st of February that you're going to get the big snowfalls. But in last year, we were talking about there was a pretty good probability we're going to get a fairly large amount of snow in January and February. However, in a neutral El Nino, if we remained in a neutral El Nino, the chance of getting 4 or more inches of snow in either one of these 2 months is substantially less. The lowest, of course, is with El Nino. If we actually go into a La Nina, February has virtually no chance of getting snow, and all of our chances in a La Nina winter shifts to January. And so, again, as far as the amount of snow we're going to get this year, it's still a little too early to do a range prediction of the amount of snow. But I suspect that because even if we remain in the neutral or go into a La Nina winter, the amount of snow we get this year is going to be less than we got in last winter with El Nino. So that's about all we can say right at this point. But sometime, I imagine it'll be more like the second week of November, I'll give a final winter forecast, and that will include a little more of the details about potential snow for the D.C. area and Alexandria, Virginia. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there, and if you have any questions, just give me a tweet at Pat Penn, and I'll try and answer them. Thanks a lot.